Hey, hey, hey. Happy Wednesday. Come on in, pull up a chair. The Gaming Gang Dispatch is in the air. Howdy, gang, and welcome once again to the Duct Tape Studios. I'm Jeff McAleer, your host here at the Gaming Gang Dispatch, brought to you by Misty Mountain Gaming. That's right, and we will talk about Misty Mountain Gaming in just a few moments. So welcome aboard, everyone. Tonight is Wednesday, August 27th, 2025. This is live stream 1228. If you're not overly familiar with the show, let me point out, super casual around here. Just hanging out, talking about the latest in tabletop gaming news. And then usually we'll take a first look at a game, either unbox a board game, or more often than not, we'll actually page through a role-playing game release, which is what we're going to be doing tonight. Every once in a while, I'll tackle a topic related to our hobby, and every blue moon, I just share the news and then hang and chew the fat with chat. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you will not find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. And then, of course, because this is a live show, there is chat available. Now, you do have to be a subscriber to the channel for at least an hour before you can take part in chat. It's how I mainly keep the more unusual commenters at bay. But if you've been a subscriber to the channel for at least 60 minutes and you want to say howdy, maybe you got a question, a comment, by all means, chime in. I will do my very best to respond. So tonight, we're going to actually dive in and take a first look at the Last Caravan from Mythworks. So stay tuned for this. If you are tuning in for the first look, I do want to remind you, if you're new to the show, we always tackle the tabletop gaming news first. So it's probably going to be about 35, 40 minutes or so before we're going to get into that first look. So if you're watching live, kick back, relax, put your feet up. Enjoy yourself. We'll get there. We'll get there. And of course, if you are watching this after the fact, maybe even on Memorex, keep in mind there are timestamps. So you can jump past the news if you'd like to. You'll find those timestamps both in the show notes as well as, depending on the device you might be watching this on, right there in the timeline of the video. It's usually within about 20 minutes of the stream ending that those timestamps will be up. So let's see, who do we have in chat tonight? Semper Buffo is first out the gates, followed by Sean O'Donnell, Wallona's Cave, Max Apocalypse, W Forge, and Kathy Evans are all with us. And we may even have the lovely and talented Miss Sarah D hanging with the gang as our chat moderator tonight, lurking in the shadows. Who knows what evil lurks in the hearts of men? The shadow knows. Yes. So I already mentioned tonight we are sponsored by Misty Mountain Gaming. They happen to be in the midst of their Pathfinder and Starfinder launch party, which is celebrating their new line of officially licensed Paizo Inc. gear. I happen to be wearing one of their hoodies at the moment. But all this stuff includes dice, backpacks, hats, notebook and pen sets, the aforementioned hoodie, t-shirts, and more. Now, it is a launch party because if you swing on by Misty Mountain Gaming prior to September 4th, you'll be able to score special pre-order pricing on the entire lineup of gear, not just one or two items, everything. So there is that. So they are our sponsor tonight. And yes, this is the Pathfinder hoodie. And it is way too warm for this hoodie down here in the Duct Tape Studios. I mean, it was cooler out today, but we still have a bit of humidity. So yeah, I'm a little sweaty in this right now. I will say that this is not super heavy, but it's not super light either. So it's got a good feel to it. It does. If you're curious, on the back is the cover art, the Wayne Reynolds cover art from the core, I should say the player core. It looks like this. So I also got a t-shirt. So the fine folks from Misty Mountain Gaming were kind enough to send along a hoodie and a t-shirt. So very nice. Very, very nice. Like I said, once again, a little warm down here right now. W4 Jazz, is it cold in Chicago? Nope. In the evenings it is. We're starting to get cooler. We're getting in the 50s now. So yeah. I am not a winter fan. So I lived out in Arizona for about a dozen years all told. Yeah. Yes. Kevin R. Smith says, oh my God, we actually got the live stream with the hoodie. Max Apocalypse says they do dig Wayne Reynolds' art. It's not his fault that he got so much work. Roger Perdome is also with us tonight. So Kevin R. Smith says they thought I would wait a couple of weeks till it cooled down to put the hoodie on. Well, they're our sponsor this week, so hey. There you go. I will actually probably end up wearing either the hoodie or the t-shirt for our Paizo preview, which should probably be Tuesday. Although I did see the package shipped out on Monday. Might show up tomorrow. If that's the case, if it shows up tomorrow, we are going to do the Paizo preview for September on tomorrow's show. Otherwise, we'll roll it on over to next week. Sarah D is with us, says, I like the fall, but I'll take winter over heat. My sister-in-law is like that too. Doesn't really care for summer, although she loves camping, but she would prefer wintertime. Not me. And I know people are always like, oh, well, in the winter, you can always put on more layers. There's only so many layers you can put on. So take it from me. I've been stuck without heat in Chicago winters more than once for like a week at a time. And it's like, yeah, okay. So, all right, let's jump on into the news because you might recall yesterday we took a look at the Cypher System rulebook from Monty Cook Games, and I talked about how they're in the middle of a crowdfunding project. They just launched it yesterday for the new Cypher, and I've got the latest from our friends over at Monty Cook Games. Cypher, the tabletop role-playing game, lauded for its flexibility, narrative focus, fun, fast-paced play, and amazingly easy GMing, is getting a new edition. Monty Cook Games can't wait to tell you why it's going to be your new favorite game. Cypher is the popular award-winning RPG system for the fun, fast-paced campaigns just itching to burst from your imagination and onto your game table. It's fast, flexible, and incredibly easy on the GM. Players love their vivid, memorable characters that are easy to build, fun to play, and never bogged down in needlessly complex mechanics. GMs love running fun, fast-paced adventures and campaigns that bring their worlds to life without having to kludge the rules to make them fit. Whether you're a diehard fan of classic dungeon fantasy games or want to run science fiction, superhero, horror, or any other genre, Cypher is about to be your new favorite game. Here's just a few reasons why. It's perfect for the story you want to be part of, whether you're delving into a dungeon, hunting Geiger-esque horrors in the dark corridors of a derelict spaceship, facing the zombie apocalypse, or swashbuckling on the high seas. It's easy to craft your campaign without kit bashing the rules to make them fit. And built-in tools bring your story to life. You don't have to fudge die rolls or railroad your players to get a great story. The game is made for you to shape the narrative in ways that are fair, fun, and give everyone at the table a great experience. And the players have their own tools that contribute to the story and incentives to build and follow their characters' motivations and story arcs as much or as little as they like. You're never a slave to some rigid rule or the wrong roll of the dice. The game serves your story. Cypher frees your imagination. Cypher is a mid-crunch RPG. It's not a rules-light game, but it keeps the mechanics out of your way. And it's built for flexibility from the ground up. So you're never trying to figure out how to bend the rules to get the game you want. The GM's bandwidth is freed up for making the game interesting and fun, rather than managing mechanics. It's fast, effortless, and keeps your game focused on narrative and choices rather than numbers and math. If you can imagine it, Cypher makes it easy. Now, this is currently up on BackerKit. It is fully funded. It was fully funded within minutes after it launched. It is going to be 2 core books. So you can reserve copies of the 2 core books in a slipcase, as well as the PDFs, for a very special pledge price of $99. It is going to end up with an MSRP of $199 for that slipcase. So if you actually jump on board this backer kit, you're going to save yourself $100 over retail. Now, if you just want to grab the PDFs, you can do so for a pledge of $35. This is running through September 26th. Now, the character rulebook is going to arrive in summer of next year. The GM book is slated to follow in the fall. Now, I also mentioned yesterday that there is the bestiary. It is going to be a revised bestiary that is only going to be offered in this backer kit, because they are not going to they're not going to print a new edition of the bestiary, because I guess with the changes in the rules, there's only one little item that needs to be changed in every stat block, and it'll take all of about 2 seconds to do so. But they are going to be offering a special revised bestiary only in this backer kit. So keep that in mind. Jeff Woody, Art, and Toothless are popping on in. Shozama85 is also joining us tonight. Welcome aboard. Kevin R. Smith said that backer kit was over $400,000 as of earlier today, and they're bringing back The Strange as a fulfilled stretch goal. Well, that's cool. I remember sharing news about The Strange. Got to remember, it is only recently that I've gotten on board with Monty Cook Games. That's why I've been sharing first looks at some of their releases. I have more stuff we're going to be taking first looks at. And then, of course, I've got reviews on the way as well. Like I said, I'm hoping to have the Cypher System starter set, the review for that this weekend. I had mentioned that on last night's show. Very cool. Very nice. I have yet to actually dive in and start reading the rule book, the core book. I did peek inside the starter set, and pretty impressed. Pretty impressed. It is, I will say, it is, at least from what I can tell, really, really easy on the players. A little trickier with the game master, but that's fine. That's usually how life is with role-playing games anyway. Sarah D says she's been having problems with YouTube sending the notifications late. Oh, that's kind of weird. So, yep. So yes, the show normally does start right about 7 p.m. Central. Sometimes it's like 7:02 or something like that. But yeah, I try to start the show as close to 7 p.m. Central as I can. Let's move on to our next news piece, because next week is going to see the release of Pathfinder Game Night Dawn of the Frogs. I've got the skinny from Paizo Inc. Gather your friends for the perfect taste of the Pathfinder role-playing game with this deluxe box set adventure designed specifically for brand new players. The small village of Bog Bottom has a problem. Locals have been going missing near an old abandoned mill in the surrounding swamp known as Dunmire. But what awaits discovery in this ruin is far more sinister than a few wayward villagers. Bog Bottom is going to need a brand new band of heroes if it hopes to survive the upcoming Dawn of the Frogs. You're coming to get you, Barbara. Yes, I know that's Night of the Living Dead, but still. Pathfinder Game Night Dawn of the Frogs presents 3 short adventures for first-level characters set in the swamp of Dunmire, and everything you need to play is included in the box. With its 4 pre-generated player characters, poster maps presenting all combat locations, a sheet of pawns representing the PCs and enemies, dice, and of course a 32-page adventure book. With Dawn of the Frogs, you'll have everything you need to play on your next 3 game nights. Well, of course, you're going to also need the rule books. This deluxe adventure will carry an MSRP of $34.99 when it lands on September 3rd. Also on that date, you'll be able to score the PDF for $19.99. So it's important to point out, if this is like the Starfinder 2nd Edition Deluxe Adventure, Murder in Metal City, this is not a starter set. It is a beginning adventure. So there are some, I guess we'll say, training wheels on the adventure itself in the book, but it is not a starter set. So there are no dice. Of course, there are no like rules built in for you to play. So please keep that in mind. Mark Hawkswell is with us. Says, seems like there are quite a few big hitters releasing around the same time. Monty Cook, MCDM, Critical Role, etc. Do you think this is a net positive or a possibility of oversaturation? As I see, Kevin R. Smith has just pointed out, Cypher is crowdfunding. So the crowdfunding, the backer kit's not going to end until the end of September. And we won't see the player book until next summer. So no, not going to count Monty Cook Games in that mix. I don't really think it's oversaturation. I think that there are some content creators out there who are working overtime to create content to tell you how XYZ game is going to be the Dungeons and Dragons killer, which we already know is just an absolute load of bullshit. But I don't think it really works against the hobby. So we've got the Cosmere role-playing game came out. In fact, Sammy has reviewed the world book, but she hasn't actually reviewed the rule book yet. So I'm holding off on sharing the world book review because I want to get the rule book review out there first. We do have MCDM, which I have a news piece coming up next. So right there, we've got that. We've got Daggerheart came out. I think people would rather have a cornucopia of choices than just be stuck with 1 or 2 games. So I don't mind it. As long as these publishers realize that, people only have so much cash they can spend, especially now. We're going to talk a little bit about that because there is another news item about Paizo Inc., We're going to talk about after I finish up the news. I shared a little bit of a news piece about it earlier today. I'm sure many of you have already seen it. We're going to talk about that in just a few minutes. So, speaking of MCDM Productions, Draw Steel Monsters is set to hit the scene September 15th. And I've got the lowdown on the bestiary. Your players make amazing heroes. All you need are some awesome monsters to throw at them. Draw Steel Monsters features lots of fantasy monsters and villains, including old favorites and new high weirdness, all which are fun to run and fun to fight. This book contains hundreds of stat blocks across dozens of different monsters, giving you tons of fun options. Now you can run a goblin adventure using only goblins, and no two encounters need to be the same. Each stat block is completely self-contained. No need to go reference some other book to figure out how a spell works. And like everything in Draw Steel, these monsters went through many rounds of vigorous testing. Yes, your players have fun earning ferocity for their fury or essence for the elemental. But we've not forgotten about you, dear director, the most important player. You have your own resource, malice. Every monster has cool abilities you unlock with malice, and you earn more malice the longer the battle goes. Malice means you're still challenging your heroes even when there's only one goblin left. That goblin is going to bust out some crazy shit. Their words, not mine. But your encounter, we see it lacks dynamism, energy, pizzazz. The terrain just sits there. But why should it? With the Draw Steel Monsters book, you can liven up even the dreariest encounter with dynamic terrain objects like the Black Obelisk and Throne of On. Even a beehive or a bear trap can really change how your encounters play. Keep your players on their toes. The battles are dynamic. Shouldn't the terrain be dynamic too? All this and more illustrated with some of the best art in the business. Lush illustrations. Lush, they say. I thought it was dope. I thought it was dope art. Yeah, that was from yesterday. This 378-page hardcover with PDF is going to carry an MSRP of $69.99. When it lands on September 15th, the PDF will carry an MSRP of $39.99. Gotta say, artwork looks really nice. Artwork looks pretty spectacular. Now, Kevin R. Smith commented on last night's show, because if you were watching last night, I did share information about the first book, which is Heroes, which is all the rules, all the player-facing stuff too. And I said it feels like this game might have a real focus on combat. That combat and crunchy combat is going to be the forefront of Draw Steel. And Kevin R. Smith pointed out that Matt Colville is actually a big fan of 4th edition D&D. So yes, combat is supposed to be a big deal with Draw Steel, which is fine. I have no issue with that. Max Apocalypse points out, lush even. Yeah. So yeah, that's fine. That's cool. I'm a little more theater of the mind in my approach to combat, because I don't want my combats running 30, 45 minutes. I mean, I know there are gamers out there, they'll sit and roll dice all night long, just one wave of monsters after another. Yeah, just not for me. Jeff Woody Art says, yeah, the artwork is really great, but could always use some improvement, maybe by having Jeff do some work. Well, there you go, maybe. Tessie Trekkies joined us in chat. Welcome aboard. Mark Hawkswell says it leads into another question about speculation. Is the new season of Stranger Things going to mostly boost D&D? Or will we see a big boost across the board? I gotta be honest, I don't think outside of the first 2 seasons, even though, yes, I know the previous season did have that kind of underlying story thread about D&D in it. I don't think D&D got that big a bump from it. I will say there were people that I knew that the one scene where the little girl rolls the 20-sided die and the die is like bouncing and bouncing and bouncing, and everybody's like, and then I think it was a 20, and they all go nuts. They're all like, give me a break. They were like, yeah, okay. It's like, that is not how it is around a game table. It's like, yeah, I get it. They're kind of milking that for a little more than it was worth, I gotta say. Chris Lundgren's popping on into chats. Kevin R. Smith says, to be fair, Draw Steel also has crunchy systems for montages, which are skill challenges, and negotiations. But combat is supposedly intensely tactical. Very nice. Very cool. Well, I mean, let's face facts. Dungeons and Dragons emerged from miniatures gaming, so there is that. Talking about Dungeons and Dragons, Heroes of Faerun is slated for a November release, and I've got the latest from Wizards of the Coast. The realms will know your name. Go from ordinary hero to world-shaking legend. This compendium of D&D player options awakens new possibilities for your hero that will transform your campaign into the next greatest Forgotten Realms epic. Explore the expansive Forgotten Realms. Experience the Forgotten Realms like never before. Unlock its full storytelling potential with new adventures set in unexplored lands, novel magic, and fantastical player options all in one place. Rewrite your fate with 8 powerful new subclasses where you'll haunt Arctic wastelands, harness the moon's brilliance, and more. Whatever path you choose, your journey will be legendary. Defy the limits of magic with your all-new Circle Magic, an age-old elven technique that enhances your magic with group spellcasting. Choose how your story begins with epic new backgrounds and feats. Weave your choices into the fabric of the Forgotten Realms and transform even the humblest beginning into a glorious legacy. Inside the book, you're going to find 8 new subclasses, new spells, and the all-new Circle Magic, 8 classic and emerging factions, a primer on the 42 gods and renown support, new feats and backgrounds, a catalog of regional equipment, as well as an overview of the 10 Forgotten Realms regions. This 192-page hardcover is going to carry an MSRP of $59.99 when it arrives on November 11th. Now, you can grab the D&D Beyond Digital Edition for $49.99. If you want to get both together, you can do so for a special bundle price of $79.98. Kind of curious about this. You may recall when I went to Gen Con, Elliot and I hung out for the special press presentation for Dungeons and Dragons that they held the day before Gen Con kicked off. And I don't know. I'm not sold. I am curious. I am curious about this. The reality is, I think I'm, from what I had seen and what I heard, less enthusiastic about the adventure book than I am for Heroes of Faerun. And I will share a news piece about the adventure book on tomorrow's show, and I will discuss the things that I'm sort of curious, but in a negative way. Tessie Trekkie says they are a Forgotten Realms junkie. DB is asking, I think I said hello to DB. If not, hello, DB. Is Wizards of the Coast really bringing Dark Sun back? I understand that they did just release Isn't it a subclass? It's like a subclass or an archetype from Dark Sun. I don't know. I don't know. TB says, nope, it hurt my feelings. Well, I said hello to you now. I can't say hello to everybody the minute they arrive. All right, I'm in the middle of a sentence. Hold on. I'm not going to finish that sentence yet. So, I don't know. I thought that was interesting that they did that, but I also thought it was kind of weird that here they were, making the big deal about all the different realms and the multiverse and things like that. And then the first realm that gets tackled for new Dungeons and Dragons is Forgotten Realms. It's like, okay. So Kevin R. Smith says they released 4 subclasses for the playtest, and they all have Dark Sun elements in their names. Interesting. That I did not know. I haven't really taken a peek at it. I think everybody who watches the show live or after the fact knows that I don't really invest a whole lot into covering D&D. Now, supposedly, they're going to be sending that starter set. Supposedly, I'm going to see Heroes of Faerun and Faerun Adventures. We'll see. We'll see if that happens or not. And of course, I'm more than happy to take a peek at them. I am curious. I root for D&D. I mean, that is the reality. It's not like I'm rooting against Wizards of the Coast. But there are a lot of publishers out there producing some excellent stuff, and I'd like to tackle a lot of them. Chris Lundgren asks, what the heck happened to 5.5 now making stuff for Greyhawk? They mentioned they were going to be making Greyhawk campaign in the new version Dungeon Master's Guide. Have no idea. Got to remember, everybody's gone. Well, not everybody, but the vast majority of people who were around for the D&D 2024 are no longer there. So even the CEO is different. So I would think that they have changed direction. That's one of the reasons why I had mentioned, if you had watched my Gen Con kind of like recap, one of the things I talked about was the press function from Wizards of the Coast that we went to, and how everybody on stage was brand new, brand spanking new. And it was sort of like, okay, all right, we'll see. W. Forge says they think Greyhawk's only going to be for the organized play events. Well, there we have it. Agile Monk is joining us in chat. Good to see you, Agile Monk. All right, let's wrap up with the final news piece of the evening. Warhammer 40K roleplay Imperium Maledictum Vol Adventures. Well, that rolls right off the tongue, doesn't it? Has landed in PDF. And here's what I know. Grim and treacherous adventures on the acid-soaked world of Vol. In the shadow of Macaria and Persepolis lies the world of Vol, a hive world run by an ancient rogue trader dynasty and a cutthroat highborn caste. Every day, citizens toil in their hive cities to fulfill the imperial tithe, caught between the guilds and the gangs, while at odds with the world's dangerously acidic atmosphere and hazardous conditions. Wouldn't the atmosphere itself just be like the biggest hazard? Meanwhile, heretics and infractionists see Vol as a ripe stage for their insidious plans. In all the centuries that the Imperium has claimed the world, the planet still hides terrible secrets in its depths, shrouded by history and shielded by the wastes above. Vol Adventures contains 5 thrilling stories for Warhammer 40K roleplay Imperium Maledictum. Each adventure is built for parties of any patron or composition, and only the Imperium Maledictum core rulebook is required to play. You'll find an introduction to the world of Vol, its people, hazards, cultures, and hive cities. You'll have the Eye of Vol, chase down rogue cult leaders across Vol's industrial wastes, competing with other hunting parties and against the world's hazards. There's illicit fabrications. A cataclysm has raised Manufactorum Vitus II to the ground. A tech priest has disappeared, and mutants have been spotted in the surrounding area. Implacable. On the eve of Hellion's triumph, death rates spike in Hive Rokarth. Too much for mere coincidence, as rumors swirl of a local cult on the rise. Interminable devotion. A capital Imperius rolls across the acid wastes. Answer its SOS call, solve the captain's murder, and confront Vol's mysteries. And then there's Paradigm Shift. A declining manufactorum has shuttered its doors without explanation. The highborn overseer needs a team to investigate and discover what happened. Of course, a copy of Imperium Maledictum's core rulebook is required to play. This 144-page PDF is available right now over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. You can also pre-order the hardcover, which includes the PDF if you're ordering from Cubicle 7 Games. That carries an MSRP of $39.99, is expected to arrive in the first quarter of next year. Sweet. Always good to see new Cubicle 7 Games stuff. As I mentioned yesterday, I have a package with 5 Cubicle 7 items on the horizon. It is shipped. So it is the new High Elf Player's Guide for Wifrip. It is also the 2 Imperium Maledictum Inquisition books. It has the new Wrath and Glory book. Off the top of my head, I forget the name of. It's an adventure book too. I shared a news piece about it yesterday. And then trying to remember what the last book is. I keep forgetting what it is. But once again, 5 items in transit right now. So some people were talking about that Wizards of the Coast needs to be spanked. It's like, okay. I don't know. W4 says they saw dice packs for every D&D class are now being sold, sponsored by Wizards of the Coast. Oh, they're always looking to get, some more cashola in their pockets, which is, that's their prerogative. They can do whatever they want. It's their IP. All righty. So that is the news for this evening. If you are tuning in a little bit late, I am wearing the Pathfinder hoodie from this week's sponsor, Misty Mountain Gaming. Yes. So they are rolling out their line of officially licensed Paizo Inc. products for Pathfinder and Starfinder. And this is the hoodie. Very cool. All right. So, like I said, that's it for the news tonight. I was talking about DriveThruRPG a few times there. Don't forget, the Gaming Gang, thus the Dispatch, is affiliated with the One Bookshelf sites. So if you're going to go visit DriveThruRPG, Dungeon Masters Guild, Storyteller's Vault, Wargame Vault, any of those One Bookshelf sites, please stop by thegaminggang.com first. Click on one of our banners. That way, if you happen to make a purchase, I get 5% of that sale. And all those nickels, dimes, and quarters really do go a long way to keeping thegaminggang.com around. Of course, if you like the video, if you dig the channel, if you find the Gaming Gang to be a valuable resource, hell, if you just like what we do, you can always support the outlet in a couple of ways. One, by making a one-time donation by way of PayPal. You can buy me a 2-liter bottle of soda. I need to refresh and replenish the fluids I'm sweating out. Because as I mentioned, it's a little too warm for this hoodie down here, but they are the sponsor. Come on. W4 says Jeff's feeling good. I always feel pretty good. I know when I'm doing the show. I mean, I never am like, oh, hey, everybody. Yeah. It's time to do the show. No, never like that. Anyway, so we have, obviously enough, using the affiliate links for the One Bookshelf sites. We've got the one-time donation by way of PayPal. And you can also become a monthly member of our Patreon. And of course, you'll find links to all of that down in the show notes below. So yes, the show notes are the little, notations that are underneath the video where it says read more, and you click on that. It's like, ooh, look at all those goodies. Agile Monk says taking one for the sponsor. Yeah, I kind of am. Kevin R. Smith says, that's why they'll talk to me now, Wizards of the Coast. Nobody I pissed off is around anymore. It's mainly because they've got a new marketing company. And when I talked to the new contact, I told him straight up why 360 PR wasn't sending stuff anymore. I said they didn't appreciate my unvarnished reviews where I told people, the honest truth of what I thought. And, it's not like I savaged everything that came out from Wizards of the Coast. Yeah, I mean, some stuff I was like, yeah, it's a 6, it's a 7. I gave stuff 8s. Didn't I give the Witchlight adventure? I think I gave a 10. I liked it a lot because I liked the kind of fairy tale kind of approach that it took, and that just about everything that happened, you could approach without having to deal in combat for everything, which I appreciated that as well. That, you didn't just have, you open the door and these monsters attack no matter what, right? That is the sign of a really shitty adventure. I don't care if it's for D&D or any other role-playing game out there, where if, like, say you're doing a dungeon delve, you open up every door, every single location has something that you must fight. Awful. If you're doing a dungeon delve, you should have rooms that are essentially just empty, right? I mean, a bedroom that, the furniture's all falling apart and it's, 5 inches of dust and everything. But yeah, there you go. DB says door, monster, kill, gold, rinse, and repeat. Ugh. DB says that's the OSR though, dude. No, that is not. Whoa, and really big wrong answer there, DB. That is not the OSR. Go read some old D&D adventures. You will see that there are many, many locations that have nothing for you to fight. Now, granted, it's not always sitting there going, okay, well, here's how you parlay. Usually it doesn't even tell you what the tactics of the monsters might be if there are monsters in the room. But now the OSR does have a lot of empty areas in dungeons. And I guess, there were players that complained. Oh, man, I haven't killed anything in like 5 minutes, man. Come on. So anyway, real quick, I was going to tell you there was another news item I shared earlier today, in case you missed it. Paizo Inc. is no longer going to, well, after this year, they are not going to produce monthly adventure paths. They are going to release quarterly adventures. They will all be self-contained in one hardcover book. They're going to clock in at around 200 and I think it was 256 as far as the page count goes. And off the top of my head, I seem to remember they were saying that the price is going to be, it's either $89.99 or $79.99. For some oddball reason, I'm thinking it's $89. Now, I think it is $79.99. So essentially $80 a quarter. And, you know, some people are thinking, well, hey, you know what, that means, you know, if you compare it to the 3 adventure paths nowadays, because that's sort of what Paizo does now. They started at 6, and then they went to 4, and then for the past, I don't know, couple of years now, it's been 3 chapters for every adventure path. People are saying, yeah, but, you know, it's 30 pages less content. But Paizo responded by saying, well, but we're not going to have to print up multiple tables of content, multiple orc pages, multiple advertisements like you see in every single adventure path chapter. So, yeah. Some people are upset. Other people aren't. Myself personally, I think it's probably a good thing. And the reason behind that is because then the game master will have the entire adventure right there in front of them to start running, because one aspect of the adventure paths, even when they were doing chapters for Starfinder adventures, which they got away from doing that a while ago now, where now it's just single, just standalone adventures for Starfinder. But what you would see is you'd get the first chapter come out and it kind of had a synopsis of what the adventure was going to be. And then you might have a big bad that the player characters encounter. They might, you know, not like have a big showdown, but they do have to deal with the big bad. But then you wouldn't have the stat blocks or the information about the big bad until the third part. So if you were trying to run the Adventure Path chapter when it would come out, and then, of course, you know, hopefully have that take up the month while you waited for the next chapter to arrive, you didn't really have all the details about the big bads. So I think it's fine. I don't see a huge issue with it. Plus, probably a little bit easier to store than all the various different chapters and that. So yeah, I'm okay with it. Pricing wise, that is, you know, I keep hearing from people that every time they turn around, it seems like the role-playing game publishers are trying to price them out of the hobby. And I can see where they're coming from. I mean, you know, just think, it wasn't that long ago that people would complain that Cubicle 7 games charged like $39.99 for a 124-page hardcover or 144-page hardcover. Now we're getting to a point where it's like, I just shared the news piece about Heroes of Faerun, 192 pages, and it is a $60 book. Now we're talking about 256 or so pages for the Pathfinder Adventures. $70. Pretty wild. Pretty wild. Shonadal says their one criticism as a Pathfinder 2nd edition GM is having the adventure parted out is much easier at the table. That I would also agree with you on. What I would like to see happen, and, you know, funny enough, I think we're seeing more companies moving away from this rather than adopting it, is if you buy the physical book, that you get the PDF. I always thought it was a little weird that Paizo does not include the PDF. And if, you have to pay like full price for the PDF if you buy the physical book. But the funny thing is, a lot of companies that used to give you the PDF for free aren't doing that anymore. They try to give it to you at a discounted rate, but still, because, production of PDFs is, there's costs involved with that too. All right. So anyways, that was the news that Paizo Inc. is doing away with the adventure paths, and kind of a mixed bag. Some people are for it. Some people are against it. I personally think it's probably a good move. Just the pricing still feels, but if I sat here and talked about, oh man, that seems kind of pricey, I'd be saying that for practically every news piece. So I've tried to get away from that. All right. Anyway, so I had mentioned the monthly membership to our Patreon. Every live show, I like to give a shout out to our Patreon members. So a big thank you to our $5 tier members, Gustavo Cavallo, Jason Lawman, Caval, Kevin R. Smith, Sean O'Donnell, and Talzek. Our $10 tier members, Matt W., Dan Webb, Game Cat, Pete Strakulich, RPG Munch, Tessie Trekkie, and Tier 2 DM, as well as our $25 tier members, The Madman, who I think is gaming tonight, and Agile Monk. Very cool. Kevin R. Smith says, Paizo's trying to push people into their subscriptions because that's the one way you can get both the PDF and physical book. But without the adventure paths, I don't know if they're going to continue to do that. I don't know if they're going to continue doing a subscription or not. They might, but I don't know. Sean Dow says something like 25 per adventure path book right now. If we're talking price, Pathfinders are $29.99. PDF is, I think, $19.99. And when they were doing the adventure paths for Starfinder, they tended to be a few dollars cheaper because they were a few pages shorter. But then they got back to, I think they got up to like $29.99 because at one point they were like $26.99. Chris Lundgren says, I miss a cheap old school module format, not thick one adventure under 40 pages. They like that some OSR systems still use that format. Sure. It's like you'll see, like PDF only adventures for Pathfinder or for Dungeons and Dragons and so on and so forth. Some of the larger role-playing games, they'll clock in at 20 pages, 16 pages, something like that. But the funny thing is, and then we're going to move on to other things because it's actually rapidly approaching 8 p.m. Central, and we still have a first look to do. What I was going to say is that I was always really surprised by how much content got packed into those short adventure modules. Isn't Steading of the Hill Giant Chief all of like 8 pages? It might be 12 pages, but I think it's like 8 pages of actual adventure and the rest are like stat blocks and stuff. Pretty amazing. And then you can pick up an adventure that's 100 pages in length, usually third party. And you're like, seriously? Nothing happens in this. There's like 4 encounters. How is this 100 pages long? Agile Monk, yes, I did see the document. I will probably not have an opportunity to really go over it and send it back to you until probably the end of the week or sometime this weekend, just so you know. All righty. So tonight we're going to dive in. We're going to take a look at the Last Caravan from Mythworks. But first, it's time for a brief intermission. Well, after you see the little, lower third flip on by, I could have swore I hit that. Got carried away.
It's intermission time, folks. Time out for a delicious snack in our sparkling refreshment building. Every item a fresh, appetizing taste treat.
Here's a better way to put words on paper. A remarkable electric typewriter, the IBM Selectric. This is what makes it different. An ingenious printing element that works faster than the eye can see. Watch it in action. Now in slow motion, as it turns, tilts, prints. The IBM Selectric is versatile too. From many different snap-on, snap-off elements, you can select the best type style for the job and be ready to type again in seconds. The IBM Selectric, a typewriter so different, only the alphabet remains the same.
This machine will make you want a cup of Wilkins coffee. Not me. I'll take mine with cream and sugar.
Hey, Mr. McGann, this car, the Sky Teeth pump.
Yes, what about it,
Well,
Fillmore?
the driver is a chimpanzee.
Well, of course he's a chimp. Fillmore, we Texaco dealers made a solemn promise to give every customer our check and double check service. And there's absolutely no mention on this promise about it not applying to chimpanzees. Now, you get started and I'll talk to the driver. Sorry about the delay, sir, but my assistant is checking your oil, water, battery, windshield, and double checking.
That's my chimpanzee you're talking to.
Oh, then you're the driver of this car.
Well, of course, he's not old enough to drive.
Oh, I guess it was the wrinkles that fooled me.
Within 3 days, the dead will destroy all the living. I am from another planet, outside your galaxy.
I'm sorry, I just don't understand.
Unless Earth surrenders in 24 hours, we will begin a mass invasion. We are invisible. We are invisible, Adam Penner. You cannot see us.
From outer space come the invisible invaders, living dead men threatening to destroy all life on Earth.
We hope you're enjoying your visit here this evening. Now, on with the show.
Can you handle that 1,000,000-volt excitement? Is John Carradine drunk? We're invisible. You can't see us. I'm staring right at you. I'm looking right at you. We're invisible. I'm telling you, I'm invisible. You can't see me. Yep. All right, so tonight we're going to dive on in and take a first look at the Last Caravan from Mythworks. This 208-page hardcover with PDF is available now. It carries an MSRP of $39.99. Get that free PDF if you order from Mythworks. And of course, if you want to just grab the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Having said all that, let's swing on over to the other camera because here I've got The Last Caravan. Few things to mention before we get stuck in. First of all, the fine folks over at Mythworks were kind enough to provide me with this review copy, but neither I nor anyone else associated with the Gaming Gang has received any other sort of compensation for me to share this first look with you. It's important you know that. We're also not going to look at each and every page of the book, but I do want to give you a really good feel for what you're going to find inside this. And then lastly, for some reason, I think this is almost kind of like a one-shot, well, not really a one-shot, a short campaign sort of role-playing game. So there might be adventure elements to this. So as a player, you have been warned. So let's take a look at the back here. The world we had is gone. Now all we've got is a car, each other, and the road. The Last Caravan is a Cars and Aliens role-playing game about a midwinter road trip in the wake of an alien invasion. A normal family finding heroism in extraordinary circumstances. You'll navigate shattered North America, search abandoned towns, discover otherworldly technology, outrun alien pursuers, and fight for the future of your world. All right. I've heard very good things about this. I believe this is built on, I think it's Band of Blades, or Blades in the Dark, I should say. So first thing we'll do is take a peek at the credits page. A lot of folks worked very hard to bring this to life. So let's give credit where credit is due. So we've got our table of contents here. We've got our introduction. We've got part 1, the caravan, part 2, the 2 months war, and part 3, the atlas, as well as character and vehicle sheets, designer notes and acknowledgments, and an index. So there are the aliens, I guess. Look like giant, almost like tick creatures. The Last Caravan is a Cars and Aliens tabletop role-playing game about a midwinter road trip in the wake of an alien invasion. Starting from the East Coast, you and your fellow travelers will navigate a shattered North America. You'll explore transformed landscapes, search abandoned towns, discover otherworldly technology, negotiate with newly formed factions, outrun alien pursuers, and fight for the future of your world. Your story is about normal people finding heroism under extraordinary pressures. It's about relationships tested by a crisis, rediscovering what matters when the world is ending. A shattered continent. They came less than a year ago. The war was swift and brutal. Humans and aliens bombed each other to smithereens, and now both sides are licking their wounds. Mysterious new factions rise to join the struggle of the fallen titans. In this landscape of shifting allegiances, you may have to choose sides. Debris from the explosion of the aliens' mothership has clouded the atmosphere, lowering the temperature and creating the coldest winter in 1,000 years. Your travelers find themselves in a melancholy, wintry landscape, quiet until it's not. Egg-shaped alien structures, 30 stories tall, now squat, humming over the cities they crushed. Xenofauna and lost invaders stalk the woods and highways. A war is brewing in the aching silence. Yes. Chris Lundgren saying it looks hard to read. Actually, no, not really. It's all right. W4 says you get to play as a dog among humans. That was the selling point that got them. That's pretty wild. The Last Caravan is a shared storytelling game like other role-playing games. One person serves as the Atlas, the Last Caravan's version of a game master, establishing, populating, and portraying a strange and dangerous world. The players each create a traveler, a caravan member making a dangerous journey, and as a group, they will shape the identity and goals of their caravan. Agile Monk with a $5 super chat. So we only have 14 thumbs and 28 viewers. Please show Jeff some love. He's sweating in the hoodie. Yeah, I am. Taking one for the sponsor. Tomorrow I'll probably bust out that t-shirt. Although I normally don't wear a t-shirt when I do the show. I don't think I've ever worn just a t-shirt doing the show. If you're a player, you bring your traveler to life and engage that character with the world. In this volatile post-war landscape, you'll uncover secrets about the state of the world. Who and what are the aliens? What exactly happened during the 2 months war? It will take a lot of work just to survive, but even more to make a difference in the coming conflict. You can play a session of The Last Caravan in 2 to 4 hours. In order to make a trip that feels like an odyssey and tells a broader story, you may want to play multiple sessions. A journey across the entire country might take 6 to 12 sessions in total. So as I mentioned, kind of get the feel that this is just a short, 12 sessions isn't that short, but it's not going to be an ongoing campaign that goes on for years. Each session serves as its own chapter in your story. So we have a detour phase. During the detour phase, the travelers make gambits, suffer consequences, and finish the encounter, whether or not they accomplish their goal. After encounters, the caravan returns to the travel phase. We have some touchstones as far as some inspiration. Little Miss Sunshine. Well, I guess it's kind of the road trip part of it. War of the Worlds, The Mitchells versus the Machines, Captain Fantastic, Arrival, Hunt for the Winter People, District 9. I really like District 9. Into the Wild, Nomad Land. That's kind of interesting. I guess, slice of Americana. Mad Max 2, The Road Warrior, and Snowpiercer. Books, we've got The Road, Roadside Picnic, and American Gods. Video games, XCOM 2, The Long Dark, Fallout New Vegas, Frostpunk, Half-Life 2, Overland. That's the one that really kind of reminds me of The Last Caravan. And then the Banner Saga. So Chris Leonard says, with different players, you get different outcomes. So it might have a long life as a single role-playing game. But the thing is, most players, most game masters do not play with multiple groups. Chris is an exception because he runs games for multiple groups. But most people, the vast majority of gamers out there, have one group of players. Part 1, The Caravan. It's a step-by-step guide for starting your game. So telling us what we need. So our travelers have archetypes. So we've got the Bandage, an insightful doctor and friend. The Bruiser, a tough fighter and protector. Lookout, a far-sighted hunter and scout. Stargazer, a curious researcher and scientist. A Talker, charismatic negotiator and liaison. Wrench, a handy tinkerer and repair person. The Innocent, an inspiring person whose sense of wonder at the world motivates others. And the Good Boy, a loyal companion who loves treats. Who wants treats? You are survivors of the 2 months war. An alien threat rises from the ashes of war. A safe haven awaits on the distant coast. You need to go west. That's all that's decided in advance about the travelers. Everything else, personal history, inadequacies, relationships, is up to you. So you're going to choose a caravan type. Caravan binds your travelers together, defining relationships broadly and giving a reason to travel together. The caravan type you choose influences the kind of story you tell, so take the time to reach a consensus as a group. Choosing kin encourages the classic family road trip. Going with vets leads toward a road trip epic where you battle aliens. So, let's see. So we got kin is family, blood related or not, with shared history and shared problems. Brains might not have studied specifically for this, but with a little study, they'll figure it out. Vets have already seen war, but this time no cavalry is coming to save the day. So 3 different caravan types. You're going to choose a caravan hook. So as an example, vets, a place that mattered to you is all under attack by aliens. And then once you choose your hook, choose a maternal figure who left a mysterious message. Ask, what is this maternal figure like? Where did she leave the message? A gun-toting, no-nonsense grandma creates quite a different story than a reserve scientist grandma who studies crustaceans. So we're establishing our relationships, creating our vehicle. We start off with 2 fuel and 2 supply. We have a vehicle that can seat up to 5 people. And we also have some cons to it as well. So here are our travelers. There's the good boy. Does it have pre-made characters or create your own? It looks like you're going to create your own. I highly doubt we're going to see pre-gens in this. So we have gambits. There are 11 actions in the game called gambits. They're described in Chapter 3. Any uncertain challenge you attempt falls under one of these categories. Your imprint begins with 4 gambit dots already filled. You get to add 4 more, so you have a total of 8. At the start of the game, 1 gambit may have 3 strength. The rest cannot have a strength higher than 2 during the character creation. Since you can't be good at everything, you'll need to rely on other players often in order to accomplish tasks you can't. So gambits are be the boss, do science, drive a car, fight under pressure, harmonize with alien stuff, lie and trick, rig and repair stuff, search and survey, sneak around, take aim, and talk it out. Let's get a special ability, and then you have an inadequacy. So we've got a list of 5. I would think you could probably create your own too. Regret, recklessness, fear, detachment, and blame. Starting inventory and gear. And now I think we're going to get into our imprints. So there's the bandage. Your job is to keep everyone intact despite their best efforts to self-destruct. Caring can be kind, but sometimes get a broken nose in place. You have to break it a second time. Bruiser. You can try to avoid trouble, but it always finds you eventually. You stand between your friends in danger and then rush in full of adrenaline to punch an alien monster in the face. Here we've got our starting gambits. And a choice of special abilities there. We've got the lookout. You've always had a good eye for landscapes and long shots. Whether you're first into the unknown or hanging back with a rifle, you make sure that the caravan's way forward is secure. Here's our stargazer. You believe knowledge was salvation, but then literal aliens invaded the planet and everything's been turned upside down. Now you're determined to use your expertise to help the people you love and find the truth. Our talker. In your experience, words are cleaner and cheaper than guns. Using brilliant persuasion skills, inherent likability, or just the speed of your motor mouth, you've kept yourself alive with conversation. Then we got the wrench. You might have honed your skills at a trade school, in the grease of a workshop, or tinkering in your garage. But whatever your background, you have a mind and hands built for solving problems. Here's the innocent. Your whole life you've relied on people and inspired them to be better. But soon you're going to learn some difficult truths. And you already know that those truths are going to change you forever. Stray Kismet is with us in chat, says their table's they're all gonna pick dogs, knowing that as a game master, Stray Kismet's not gonna dust a pup. W Forge says, so Stray's the RPG. The good boy, your people need you. You can bark or warn them. Oh, I'm sorry. You can bark to warn them and smell the things they can't see. The world is getting dangerous, but that might mean new friends. And where there are friends, there are treats. So the engine, here we go. Here are our mechanics. As far as our dice rolls. Whenever a traveler tries to do something with a dangerous or uncertain outcome, use gambits. There are 11 gambits. When Uncle Larry tries to fix a busted engine, you go for rig and repair stuff. When Colm points a rifle at a hulking alien monster and pulls the trigger. Yeah, I'm going to pull the trigger. So he's using an alien rifle. That's what they call it. He'll probably roll take aim. To determine how many dice to roll in your gambit, check the 4 dots next to that gambit on your character sheet. The number of filled-in dots represent your gambit's strength. When you roll the gambit, that's how many 6-sided dice you roll. After rolling, find the highest die result. If you roll a 6, you get it done. Get her done. If you roll more than 1 6, things went better than you could have hoped. This is a critical success. A 4 or 5, you do what you were trying to do, but something goes wrong, a drawback, harm, a consequence. We'll call this trouble. 1, 2, or 3, it's bad. Whatever you were trying to do didn't go your way and something else is going wrong on top of it. You're in big trouble. All right, so talking about trouble here. This looks like this is super rules light. Gameplay loop. The Last Caravan's gameplay rotates through the travel phase, the detour phase, and the upkeep phase. During the travel phase, you're on the road. You'll take actions to scout, supply, recover, talk, tinker, make decisions, and sleep. This phase is more freeform and a great time for developing relationships with other characters. During travel, trouble comes to the caravan in the form of tolls, as in something's taking a toll on the group. During the detour phase, you can stop to explore, parlay, confront other factions, and navigate obstacles. This is where the action happens. After each detour phase comes the upkeep phase, a bit of bookkeeping that keeps narrative wheels turning. A normal session of the Last Caravan consists of 1 to 3 detours phases, each preceded by travel and followed by upkeep. So getting into a little more detail about those. And you're traveling across regions. This journey has an endpoint. There may be a massive showdown between the powers of the aliens and humans. There may be a final wild chase across hostile territory. Game may simply end with an epilogue and a roll credit sequence. You and the Atlas will work together to guide the game to a meaningful and satisfying conclusion. So now we have cars, passengers, and stuff. So talking about some of these can be tolls maybe that take place on the vehicle. Oh, where? Modifications to vehicles, passengers, inventory. Here's our bookmark here. Paper stock on this is very nice. This is a stitched binding as well. So starting inventory items. Traveler's warning. These chapters explore the history of the 2 months war, the factions involved, the current state of the world. If you're not the Atlas and don't want spoilers, it's better if you don't read further. So there you go, players. You've been warned. W. Ford says, if dogs can play poker, how hard could it be to drive a car? There you go. All right, so we're going to actually be skipping pages here. A few more pages than we had been. This is giving us kind of a breakdown on some different regions of the United States. That must be the alien mothership. So there's some factions here, maybe. You notice how the color of the paper changed? So we went from here's stuff that the players should be aware of to, hey, don't be reading this. If you're a player, stop reading. Warriors of the Worlds. So I'm wondering if these are the kind of aliens that have like slave races fighting for them. And maybe some of the aliens are going to actually be allied with humans. Well, we'll find out. We got some human factions, alien factions, human inventory. So it looks as if for combat, we have like health points. So here is the Atlas. So this must be the Game Master facing info. It says the game map is divided into 23 regions, each with its own adventure connecting to the larger invasion story. You should usually spend 1 or 2 sessions in each region. Well, then that would be a lot of, I was going to say, that's a lot more than a dozen sessions. Although you wouldn't be traveling all across North America, so maybe it's the whole world. Maybe the game map's the whole world. I don't know. We'll see. No, that looks like North America to me. It says Mexico, no go. Canada, too cold. Also no go. Okay. So it's just going to describe each of these regions. So we get a little bit of text describing the region. Looks like how do you get out of the region, the factions involved there, some important, looks like they're important NPCs, some detours and tolls. Okay. Nice. Oh, there's some more aliens. The final battle. Is this talking about theme here? Yep. Genre and theme. I thought this was kind of interesting because wait till you see the one we just saw. Chris Langren says maybe even Canada can get its day. Nope, spoke too soon. So we got a road trip, a survival story, a family dramedy. See, that's not what I was expecting. I was not expecting that. But I guess that does fall into that Little Miss Sunshine. Alien invasion, political drama, apocalypse in progress. It's probably how I would run it. Talking about some MacGuffins here. Oh, it looks like each of the types of characters have their own character sheet. That's cool. So kind of like a playbook. So you got the bandage, the bruiser. Lookout, stargazer, the innocent. There's 2 for the innocent? I guess so. Where's the good boy? There you go. What is that? Where's the good boy? Oh, I see we've got a fear and heroism attribute. Oh, I guess that's just the good boy. The innocent gets hard truth. Look out, harm. Stargazer gets harm. So those were the harm points. Here's our vehicle sheet. I like that. We've got a little gas gauge there. Nice. Like I said, I've heard very good things about this. Got our index, and that is a look inside the Last Caravan from Mythworks. Once again, this is available now. The hardcover with PDF carries an MSRP of $39.99. Of course, to get that free PDF, you have to order from Mythworks. If you want to just grab the PDF alone, you can do so over at DriveThruRPG for $19.99. Captain Infinity, Time Travel Police, has popped on into chat. So welcome to you. All right. So, of course, stay tuned. I will have a review of the Last Caravan in the not too distant future. Keep wanting to say Lost Caravan. Kept catching myself before. I was like, no, that's Last Caravan, Jeff. Last Caravan. So what's cooking tomorrow? We are going to dive on in. We're going to take a look at the Necromancer card game from Cobalt Press. Yes, this does kind of look like a Munchkin game. In fact, I guess the folks from Steve Jackson Games were taking a peek at this to make sure it didn't look too much like a Munchkin game. But I guess it passed muster, so that's fine. So we're going to take a look at this on tomorrow night's show. And then, of course, next Tuesday, we should be doing our Paizo preview. I am thinking if the box of goodies from Paizo arrives prior to Tuesday, I will shoot a separate first look video at the Starfighter 2nd Edition GM Core, because I'm sure people out there want to get a pretty close look at that. So we'll probably do that. And then, of course, September is going to be Small Publisher September. So not that we're only going to look at small publishers, and the reality is, if you think about it, everybody outside of Wizards of the Coast and possibly Paizo Inc. are small publishers, but we are going to share a lot more love for small publishers. So you're probably going to see a bit more content next month than you have seen in past months. So you're probably going to see quite a few more standalone videos, first look videos, things like that, outside of just always having first looks on the shows. So there's that. So we are going to take a look at West Marsh's, the campaign playstyle guidebook by Carl Otto Christofferson. Funny enough, the new season of Critical Role is supposed to be kind of utilizing a West Marsh's sort of game style. So if you're curious about that, well, this explains what West Marsh's is. So we're going to take a look at that next Wednesday, a week from today. And then we'll see what we take a look at on Thursday. I got a bunch of stuff that's in transit right now, and some other things that'll be shipping out in the not too distant future too. So we got plenty on the horizon. I still got a lot of stuff that I got at Gen Con that I'll be sharing first looks and reviews of too. All right, so that is it for this time out. If you were watching live, thank you very much. If you watched live and took part in chat, bigger thank you, because not only are you keeping me company, you're also keeping each other company while I'm doing the news or paging through a role-playing game book, unboxing a board game, what have you. But of course, I know a lot of folks out there, they don't have an opportunity to watch live. Doesn't matter if you're watching live or on Memorex. Thank you for being one of the over 2.5 million views that the channel has gotten. Yeah, I talked about that last night. Channel has received, this was last week, we cracked 2.5 million views on the channel. Sweet, very nice. Much appreciated, everybody. All right, so enjoy the rest of your morning, afternoon, evening, whatever time of day it is in your neck of the woods. Give the video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. Do subscribe. Don't forget, ring that bell. They'll not only let you know when the Dispatch streams live, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. Central right here on YouTube. I'll also let you know when I share other videos, such as my recent review of Rivers of London in Liberty's Shadow from Chaosium Inc. Yeah. Of course, when you're not watching videos on the Gaming Gang channel, be sure to visit thegaminggang.com for all latest in tabletop gaming news, reviews, and a whole lot more you are not going to find here on YouTube. You know the drill. Get your geek on at thegaminggang.com. Once again, I'm Jeff McAleer, and as always, I certainly hope all of you get to enjoy plenty of great gaming with your gang.